3 of the clock this morning, my phone vibrated. Unknown number, I almost ignored it. But something made me answer. The voice on the other end was shaking. I was holding the last pill, they said. But then I remembered your face. I have never met this person. Sounds crazy, right? But this is not the first time this has happened. And if you are watching this video, I bet you have experienced something similar. Someone has told you, I do not know how to explain it, but I am alive because of you. And you know what the worst part is? You do not believe them. Because while they are saying you saved them, you are sitting in a dark room, feeling like the biggest failure. You think they have the wrong person. They do not know how much I fell apart last night. But that is exactly the point. And what I am about to share will show you why your darkest nights are exactly what this world needs most from you. But first, I need to tell you about Sarah. This video is not for everyone. It is not for people who want 5 minutes of motivation and then forget. Not for those looking for cheap comfort. This video is for you if you feel like your life is meaningless, even though others say you inspire them. If you are tired of wearing masks and wondering if anyone sees the real you, if you have ever wanted to give up but something keeps holding you back. If that is you, do not turn off this video. And if you sense this message is for you, I want you to do something right now. Hit that subscribe button, not for me but for yourself. Because videos like this do not show up by accident. And the next message you need might come when you least expect it. Because what I am about to share changed the way I see everything. And it will explain why you always feel different, why you attract broken people, and why your pain is not random. Let me start with Sarah. Sarah was 34 years old. A Tuesday morning, Children's Hospital. She stood outside the ICU room, holding her daughter's tiny jacket, pink size 7. The doctors had just walked out. They did not need to say anything. Sarah already knew. And the first thing she thought was not the pain, not the anger, but how can I keep living when my heart just died with my child? Now, before I tell you what Sarah did next, I need to break a lie that all of us have believed. This lie has been taught since childhood. It is everywhere, from Hollywood movies to self-help books. The lie is this: good life equals life without suffering. Sound familiar? We grew up believing that success means no failure, happiness means no sadness, strong means no weakness. But here is the truth that the Bible teaches, and that modern psychology is just beginning to understand. What makes you radiant is not that you never fall down. It is what you find when you are lying at the bottom. Peter wrote this 2,000 years ago when he was being persecuted for his faith. In this you rejoice, though now for a little while you have been grieved by various trials, so that the tested genuineness of your faith, more precious than gold that perishes though it is tested by fire, may be found to result in praise and glory and honor. 1 Peter, chapter 1, verses 6 and 7. But here is the part most people miss. Stop for a second. I know what you are thinking. Yeah, I know trials make us strong, old saying. This is not about trials making you strong. This is about trials revealing what was always inside you, but would never be seen if everything was easy. Let me prove it. NASA had a strange problem in the 1960s. They trained astronauts in perfect conditions, clean labs, perfect simulations, no real pressure. And you know what happened when they went to actual space? 1/3 of them completely broke down. They panicked. They could not make decisions. Some had to be brought back to Earth early. Why? Because in the lab they learned skills, but in space they needed character. And character is not trained in comfort, it is forged in fire. NASA later changed their training. They created fake crises. They broke things unexpectedly. They pushed astronauts to their limits, and you know who the most successful astronauts were. Not the smartest ones, not the strongest ones. but those who had experienced real failure in life. People who had lost jobs, people who had gone through divorce, people who had almost died, because they already knew what collapse felt like, and they knew how to stand back up. Sound familiar? That is you. Now I want you to stop and think, what is the biggest trial in your life? Maybe it is the death of a loved one, a devastating divorce, an illness, losing all your money, being betrayed. Whatever it is, remember the worst moment, the moment you were lying on the floor, the moment you had no more tears to cry, the moment you asked yourself, how can I keep living? Do you remember? Now look in the mirror. The person you see now is not the person from that day. The person you see now is someone who walked through fire and survived. And that is exactly why people sense something special about you. But here is the strange thing, you do not see it. You look in the mirror and still see the cracks, the mistakes, the failures. But other people, they look at you and see a survivor, someone who did not give up, living proof that getting through is possible. That is why someone calls at 3 in the morning. That is why strangers share secrets with you. That is why children naturally come near you. They do not see the wound. They see the healing. And healing has its own frequency that only wounded people can hear. You are a radio station broadcasting life, and someone is tuning into your frequency right now. But how do you know you are broadcasting right? This is where Sarah's story comes back, and it will make you cry. Remember Sarah, the mother who lost her 7-year-old daughter to cancer. 3 years after that moment at the hospital, Sarah did something no one understood. She did not go to therapy. She did not join a support group. She did not write a book about grief. Sarah signed up for a painting class. Every Tuesday, the exact day her daughter passed away, she went to a class at the community center. Saturday, in silence, painted. Did not talk to anyone. People thought she was strange. Some said she was in denial. But here is what they did not know. In that painting class was a 19-year-old girl named Lisa. Lisa was living with her stepmother who abused her. Lisa had a secret. She had prepared the pills, a whole bag, just waiting for her 20th birthday. Every Tuesday, Lisa sat next to Sarah. They did not talk, just painted. And every week, Lisa watched Sarah, watched how Sarah held the brush, her hands still trembling, watched how Sarah chose colors, always light blue, her daughter's favorite, watched how Sarah breathed, deep and slow, like she was fighting for every breath. Sarah never smiled, but she also never cried. She was just present. And one Tuesday, Lisa realized something. If this woman who lost her only child still comes here every week, still holds the brush even though her hand shakes, still chooses colors even though it hurts, still breathes even though it is hard, then maybe I can live one more day too. Lisa flushed all the pills down the toilet that night, and 4 years later, Lisa stood at her first art exhibition. The painting in the center was a portrait of Sarah. The title was, "The Woman Who Saved My Life Without Knowing." Sarah came to the exhibition. It was the first time they really talked. Lisa told her everything. Sarah cried, and Sarah said, "You do not know." Those Tuesdays were also why I stayed alive. I needed to see someone else still trying. I saw you. Do you see the miracle here? Sarah did not save Lisa. Lisa did not save Sarah. They saved each other just by existing. This is exactly what the Bible means. Bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. Galatians chapter 6, verse 2. But the next verse, Paul says, for each will have to bear his own load. Galatians chapter 6, verse 5, contradiction. Number. This is the sacred paradox. You cannot carry someone else's burden, but you can show them that carrying burdens is possible. Sarah did not tell Lisa, "You will be okay." Sarah showed Lisa, "I am not okay, but I am still here." And the presence of pain that is healing is more powerful than 1,000 words of encouragement. Because encouragement can be fake, but wounds cannot be faked. And when people see your wounds still bleeding but you are still walking, they think, maybe I can too. Psychologists call this phenomenon vicarious resilience, the ability to recover through observation. Harvard University did an experiment in 2019. They divided participants into 3 groups. Group 1 watched videos of successful people talking about their victories. Motivation increased 23% for 24 hours, then dropped back to baseline. Group 2 watched videos of successful people talking about old failures. Motivation increased 45% and lasted 2 weeks. Group 3 met in person with people currently struggling, but still trying. The feeling of "I can do this" increased 187%. Lasted 3 months, and 67% actually changed their behavior. Why? Because the brain has mirror neurons. When you see someone in pain but still standing, your brain literally practices pain and standing. You do not need to tell anyone. You just need to exist near them. And this is what God knew from the beginning. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Matthew chapter 5 verse 4, not they will be saved from mourning, but their mourning will become comfort for others. You are living proof. Not proof that life is easy, but proof that difficulty is not the end. But I know what you are thinking now. Okay, this is beautiful. But what if I am still struggling? What if I do not feel healed? What if I still want to give up every morning when I wake up? Here is the question no one dares to ask. How can I be a light for others when I am sitting in darkness? And here is the answer that will change everything. But first I need you to understand something about light. You know how light works in physics? There is a phenomenon called black body radiation. It means the hotter an object is, the darker it is, the stronger the light it emits. Neutron stars, dead stars, emit the strongest light in the universe. Sounds paradoxical, but this is exactly how spiritual light works. When Jesus said, "You are the light of the world," Matthew chapter 5 verse 14, he was not talking to perfect people. He was talking to Peter, who would deny him 3 times, Thomas, who doubted, Paul, who used to kill believers. They are light not because they are not dark, but because they know what darkness looks like and choose to shine anyway. Here is the truth Satan does not want you to know. Your wound does not make you less. Your wound makes you a lamp because light cannot shine from a perfect surface. Light shines through cracks. Leonard Cohen wrote, "There is a crack in everything. That is how the light gets in." But I say this, the crack is not just where light gets in, it is where light gets out. Every time you stand up after falling, light comes out of that crack. Every time you choose love even when hurt, light comes out. Every time you choose forgiveness, even when in pain, light comes out. And people see that light. They do not need you to speak. They sense the frequency. That is why wounded people find you. Not because you have answers, but because you have cracks like theirs. And they see light from your cracks. And they think, maybe my cracks can shine too. If you believe your cracks can shine, leave a like on this video. Not just to support the channel, but as a declaration, a silent agreement with yourself that your brokenness does not disqualify you. It qualifies you. But there is a dangerous kind of light you must avoid. If you do not, you will burn out. I will explain in 3 minutes. Now you understand why the Bible is full of stories about broken people. Moses, who stuttered. David, who committed adultery and murder. Rahab the prostitute. Mary Magdalene, who was demon-possessed. God did not choose them despite their wounds. God chose them because of their wounds. Because a perfect person cannot lead imperfect people. But a broken person who has been healed can show the way to broken people who need healing. And this is where everything intersects with gratitude. I am not talking about fake gratitude, not the kind that says, I am grateful because everything is good. I am talking about the deep kind, the kind that only chosen ones understand gratitude for the refining. Jeremiah 29:11, the verse everyone knows. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. But do you know the context of this verse? Jeremiah was writing to Israel during their exile in Babylon, 70 years, and God said, I have good plans for you during exile, not after. But during that is gratitude level 2.0. Not thank you for saving me from the desert, but thank you for what you taught me in the desert. Not thank you because the storm is over, but thank you because you were in the storm with me. Not thank you because I am no longer in pain, but thank you because this pain has purpose. And when you reach this level of gratitude, everything changes. The University of California did a breakthrough study in 2021. They scanned the brains of two groups. Group 1, people grateful for good things that happened. Group 2, people grateful about bad things that happened. The results were shocking. Group 1 had short-term dopamine increase, returned to baseline after 48 hours, no brain structure change. Group 2 had dopamine and serotonin increase, lasted over 3 months. The brain literally rewired, increased gray matter in the prefrontal cortex, the decision-making area, and decreased amygdala reactivity. The fear area, what does this mean? When you are grateful about hardship, your brain changes structure. You literally become a different person. Someone less fearful. Someone who makes better decisions. Someone who recovers faster. Someone who senses deeper. Meaning, this is not toxic positivity. This is neuroplasticity based on faith. Paul knew this 2,000 years ago. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Romans chapter 12, verse 2. Transformed. Metamorpho in Greek. Same root as metamorphosis. Complete transformation. From caterpillar to butterfly. From broken to healed. From victim to victor. But transformation does not happen by avoiding pain. It happens by reframing pain. And reframing starts with gratitude. Stop for a moment. I want you to do an exercise right now. Think about the biggest trial in your life. The one you thought would destroy you. Now complete this sentence. I am grateful about this hardship because without it, I would never have known. For example, Sarah could say, I am grateful about my daughter's death because without it, I would never have met Lisa and would never have known my pain could save a life. What about you? Not easy, right? But this is where breakthrough happens. When you can look at the worst thing that ever happened and find one thing you are grateful about. You have reclaimed power. You are no longer the victim of the story. You are the author rewriting the ending. Remember when I said someone called at 3 a.m? The person who said, I remembered your face. Here is what I have not told you yet. I asked, where did we meet? They said, grocery store, 6 months ago. You were in line in front of me. You bought 1 bottle of water and bread. The cashier asked, how are you today? Most people say fine and leave, but you stopped. You looked at her and said, honestly, today is hard, but I am grateful to be here. Then you smiled and left. I was standing behind you. I was about to say fine too, but I thought, if this stranger can tell the truth, maybe I can too. I told the cashier, I am not okay. I am struggling. She said, me too. They talked for 5 minutes, exchanged phone numbers. 6 months later, they were best friends. And that night, the night this person was about to take pills, that cashier called and saved their life. Do you see? You thought you were just buying water, but you were saving a life. You thought you were just being honest for 10 seconds, but you were creating a ripple effect that lasted 6 months. You never know who is watching. You never know which moment matters. That is why you must live authentically every moment. Not because you are trying to help, but because you do not know when you are helping. And here is the final thing about gratitude. When you are grateful about hardship, you start looking back at your life and seeing patterns. You see the moment you were betrayed taught you who is truly loyal. The moment you lost all your money taught you what real value is. The moment you got sick taught you health is a gift. The moment you wanted to give up but did not taught you that you are stronger than you think. Every hardship is a gift wrapped in pain. And when you unwrap enough gifts, you realize God is sculpting you. Every chisel stroke hurts, but every stroke has meaning. And when you step back and see the whole sculpture, you see a masterpiece. Not perfect, but powerful. Not flawless, but full of meaning. That is you. And that is why people cannot take their eyes off you. But now I need to warn you about something. There is a trap that every chosen one falls into. I fell into it. Sarah fell into it, and I bet you are in it right now. The trap is savior complex. You know you have savior complex when you feel responsible to fix everyone. When you feel guilty when you cannot help someone. When you give until you are completely drained. When you answer the phone at 3 in the morning every night. When you cannot say no when someone needs you. And here is the dangerous thing. Savior complex looks like compassion, but it is counterfeit. It looks like compassion, so Satan uses it. For what? To burn out your lamp, so you have no light left for anyone. I need to tell you about Marcus. Marcus was a pastor at a 300-person church. He was loved. Everyone called Marcus when they had problems. Midnight, Marcus answered. Weekends, Marcus counseled. Vacation. Marcus was still online. Marcus thought, this is serving. This is Christ-like. His wife said, honey, you need to rest, Marcus said. They need me, wife said. But our kids need their father, Marcus said. We are doing God's work. 18 months later, Marcus sat in his car, holding a bottle of whiskey. He never drank. But that night, he opened it. Because that morning, Marcus stood on the pulpit to preach and he forgot everything. Completely empty. 500 people staring at him. Marcus stared back, silence. 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes. Then Marcus stepped down, walked out, drove home. His wife found him in the garage. Marcus was crying. I am burned out, he said. I have nothing left to give. I do not feel God anymore. I do not feel anything. Marcus took 6 months off. The church did not understand. Some people were angry, but during those 6 months, something happened. 7 people in the church started to lead. The people Marcus always saved started to stand up on their own. And Marcus realized, I was not helping them by doing everything. I was making them weak. I was taking away their chance to find their own strength. I am not the Savior. God is the Savior. I am just a lamp, and lamps need to be recharged. Here is what Paul wants us to understand. Each will have to bear his own load. Galatians chapter 6, verse 5. You cannot carry someone else's burden, not because you are cruel, but because if you carry it, they will never grow. There is a big difference between support and rescue, empower and enable. Walk beside and carry, and here is how to tell the difference. Rescuing is when you do it for them. You feel guilty if you do not help. They become dependent on you, and you burn out. Empowering is when you show them what they can do. You trust they have strength inside. They develop independence, and both of you grow. Remember Sarah and Lisa. Sarah did not tell Lisa, you must live. Sarah did not check on Lisa every day. Sarah did not feel responsible to fix Lisa. Sarah did not even know Lisa was struggling. Sarah just lived honestly with her pain, showed up consistently, trusted that her presence was enough, and let God do the rest. And Lisa was saved, not because Sarah saved her, but because Sarah trusted that only God can save. And when you let go of savior complex, you actually start helping people. Because you do not stand between them and God. You just point to God. Psalm 23. Verse 4 says this, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." Notice this, David did not say, "God saves me from the valley," but God walks with me through the valley, because valleys are sacred places. They are where you find water. Valleys have rivers, fertile soil. Valleys have nutrients from mountains, shelter. Valleys protect from storms. But to get to the valley, you must go down. And when someone you love is going down into the valley, your instinct is to pull them up. But if you pull them up too soon, they miss what is only in the valley. They miss inner strength only found in darkness, faith only forged in uncertainty, compassion only learned through pain. That is why Jesus did not save Lazarus immediately. He waited until Lazarus died. 4 days, Mary and Martha were angry. "If you had been here, our brother would not have died." But Jesus knew. If he saved Lazarus from sickness, they would see a healing miracle. But when he raised Lazarus from death, they saw power over death itself. The deeper the valley, the greater the miracle. So when someone you love is in the valley, do not save them, do not pull them up. Walk beside them, carry your own lamp, trust their process, and trust that God is teaching them something that only darkness can teach. Remember the dangerous light I mentioned. It is the light you burn from yourself instead of from God. Marcus burned from himself. He burned out. But when he rested, God relit his lamp from a source that never runs out. Now we come back to gratitude, but this time at a deeper level, because now you understand. Your wound is light. You are not the Savior. Valleys are sacred spaces. So what are you grateful for? This is the kind of gratitude only chosen ones understand. Gratitude for the refining. Not thank you for saving me from the desert, but thank you for what you taught me in the desert. Not thank you because the storm is over, but thank you because you were in the storm with me. Not thank you because I am no longer in pain, but thank you because this pain has purpose. And when you reach this level of gratitude, your presence becomes a quiet revolution. You are not just walking your path, you are redefining what the path means. You are reminding people they do not need to betray their truth for acceptance, that alignment is worth more than applause, that authenticity is worth more than conformity. Matthew chapter 5, verse 16 says, "Let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." And whether you see it or not, your light has been shining. There is a sacred power in the way you carry yourself. You do not fake peace. You do not hide behind masks. You stand in truth and you walk in grace. Your life whispers something real to those around you. That peace is not inherited. It is built brick by brick, even in the middle of chaos. You are not defined by pretending everything is fine. Instead, you show what it means to choose love, even when the heart aches, to choose patience even when the path is long. And in that choice, you remind others that life itself is a holy invitation. Have you noticed how your life has slowly become a refuge for others? That when you walk into a room, the atmosphere shifts. Not because everything is easy for you, but because you carry something others cannot explain. That is no accident. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Matthew chapter 5, verse 9. You are not only surviving, you are teaching others what survival looks like when it is drenched in truth and compassion. You are showing that one can remain gentle without becoming small, strong without becoming hardened, grateful without pretending everything is flawless. This quiet strength is now written into your presence. Even if you did not ask for it, others feel it. They may not always have the words, but their hearts know it. There is something in you that steadies them. And have you noticed how people open themselves around you? How their hearts, guarded with walls, soften in your presence? That is because you carry a spirit that is safe, real, unfiltered. They see in you a reflection of what they could become, and whether they are ready or not, your very existence plants a seed of possibility. That, my friend, is why you are already a role model. You did not have to strive for it. You did not have to perform. You became one by living authentically. For the ones who are ready, your presence is a quiet answer to the questions they have been carrying. Not because you preach at them, but because your life itself is the sermon. You, yourselves, are our letter, written on our hearts, known and read by everyone. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 2. You are the teaching. Your very existence is the living example, not polished, not pretending, but real, aligned, and unafraid to keep evolving. You know by now that real helping does not always look like fixing. Sometimes, the holiest act of love is trusting someone to walk their own valley, because valleys are sacred places. No one can walk your valley for you, and you cannot walk another's valley for them. But you can walk beside them carrying your own lamp, showing that survival is possible. And you know this truth intimately. Had anyone taken away your darkest nights, you would not have found the inner light that rose in you. Had someone pulled you out of your storms too soon, you would not have grown the strength that now defines you. That is why you no longer rob others of their own sacred process. You empower, not coddle. You trust, not control. You respect the timing of another's soul. This is wisdom, and it is leadership. For the world is weary of being told what to do. What people hunger for is an example of what can be. They long to see a life lived from the heart without losing integrity. And that is what you embody. When I speak of gratitude in you, I do not mean shallow phrases or tired affirmations. I mean the gratitude woven into your spirit like breath itself. The gratitude that looks at delay and still says, I trust the Lord's timing. The gratitude that looks at heartbreak and still whispers, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34 verse 18, gratitude that looks at detours and still believes. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. Jeremiah 29 verse 11. That is the gratitude that makes your presence a quiet revolution. You are not only walking your path, you are redefining what the path means. You are reminding people that they need not betray their truth for acceptance, that alignment is worth more than applause, that authenticity is worth more than conformity. And so I urge you, keep going, keep trusting, keep choosing integrity over pretense, compassion over performance, spirit over ego. Because every time you stand in truth, you give silent permission for others to do the same. And perhaps your greatest gift is not how many you have helped, but how many you have shown that they were never broken in the first place, only buried. Healing does not always begin with words. Sometimes it begins with one moment of recognition, one breath of courage, one glimpse of someone like you living free. You are living proof that life does not need to be perfect to be powerful. You are the reminder that pain is not an ending, it is a passage, that strength does not always roar, it endures quietly, that the most generous offering you can give the world is yourself. Unapologetic, unmasked, aligned, so move forward. Not because you owe anyone, but because this is your appointed time. You are not an accident. Your existence carries divine intention. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. You were meant to be seen. You were meant to inspire, not through force, not through control, but through the simple weight of truth. And the heavens have recognized you all along. Before we end, I have one question for you. Drop it in the comments below. What is one thing your pain taught you that you could not have learned any other way? Just one sentence, because your answer might be the light someone else needs today. And if this message resonated with you, send it to one person. You know who they are. The one who came to mind while watching. Do not explain it. Just send the link. Sometimes that is all it takes. There is something I need you to understand about your calling. It is not loud. It is not on a stage. It is not applauded. Your calling happens in the grocery store line when you choose to be honest for 10 seconds. Your calling happens in the painting class when you show up even though your hands shake. Your calling happens when you answer the phone at 3 in the morning, not to save someone, but to let them know they are not alone. This is the calling of the chosen one, not to be a superhero, but to be deeply, radically, unapologetically human, and in that humanity, to reflect something divine. Because people do not need perfect, they need real. They do not need someone who has it all together. They need someone who is falling apart but still choosing love, still choosing kindness, still choosing to believe that tomorrow might be different. You are that person. And every single day that you wake up and choose to keep going, you are fulfilling your calling. Not because you are extraordinary, but because you are willing to be ordinary in an extraordinary way. There is a verse that changed everything for me. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 7. But we have this treasure in jars of clay, to show that the surpassing power belongs to God and not to us. Jars of clay, fragile, cracked, breakable. That is us. But inside these jars of clay is treasure. The treasure is not our perfection. It is God's presence. And the cracks in the jar are not flaws. They are proof that the power inside is not ours. When people see you struggling but still standing, they do not think, "Wow, that person is so strong." They think, "Wow, the God inside that person must be real." That is the whole point. You are not supposed to be unbreakable. You are supposed to be broken enough that people can see through you to something greater. And that is why your pain is not wasted. Every tear you cried watered the ground for someone else's breakthrough. Every night you could not sleep kept watch over someone else's healing. Every time you wanted to quit but did not give someone else permission to keep going. Nothing about your journey has been random. Not the betrayal, not the loss, not the diagnosis, not the financial collapse, not the rejection. Every single thing was either allowed or ordained to sculpt you into the person who could carry the message that only you can carry. Because your message is not in your words. Your message is in your scars. And the people who need your message are the ones with matching scars. They will find you. You do not have to look for them. Just keep being you. Keep showing up. Keep choosing truth. Keep walking in the light you have, even if it is just a flicker. And trust that the right people will see. I want to leave you with one final story. There was a lighthouse keeper who lived alone on a rocky coast. Every night, he would light the lamp at the top of the lighthouse. He never saw the ships he saved. He never heard thank you. He just lit the lamp. One day, a young sailor came to visit. He said, "Sir, 20 years ago, my father's ship was lost in a storm. We thought we would die. Then we saw your light. We followed it to safety." The lighthouse keeper was old now. His hands shook as he lit the lamp. He said, "I never knew if anyone saw the light. I just kept lighting it every night." The sailor said, "Sir, you saved hundreds of ships. You just never knew." The lighthouse keeper smiled. "Then it was worth it," he said. "You are the lighthouse keeper. You may never know whose life you saved. You may never hear thank you. You may never see the impact. But keep lighting the lamp. Keep showing up. Keep being present. Keep choosing to live authentically, even when it is hard. Because somewhere out there, someone is lost in a storm. And they are looking for your light. Not because you are perfect, but because you are still shining, and that is all they need to find their way home." Thank you deeply for walking this road. If this message has stirred something in your heart, share it, pass it along to someone who needs to hear it. Because you never know who is waiting for exactly this word at exactly this moment. And when you are ready, take the next step. Not because you have it all figured out, but because you trust that the one who called you will be faithful to complete the work he started in you. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You are not too broken. You are not too late. You are exactly where you need to be, learning exactly what you need to learn, becoming exactly who you were always meant to be. A living letter, a walking sermon, a lighthouse in the storm, and the world is watching, not waiting for you to be perfect, but waiting for you to be brave enough to be real. So be real, be you, be the cracked jar of clay that lets the light shine through. Because that is your calling, that is your purpose, that is why you are here. And the heavens have recognized you all along.